This may be one of the most simple things to do in Jiu Jitsu, but for some reason, it is so hard for so many of us. And it's something that I highly recommend that you do throughout your entire Jiu Jitsu journey, but especially in the beginning. And that's ask questions. For some reason, asking questions is so hard for many people to do in Jiu Jitsu. I think it's because, one, they don't want to feel dumb to their coaches. We want our coaches to think that we remember everything for some reason that they've ever taught us. And it's also our ego. We don't want other people to think that we don't know a technique, or we haven't learned something, or for some reason we just aren't aware of a position. I encourage you, ask questions. Your coach will be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Jiu-Jitsu is incredibly awkward and unfamiliar. Questions will help you along your journey. They're going to help fill in some of those missing pieces that you don't necessarily get from class. You know, your coach is going to teach certain things, and when they teach them, they're teaching them to the entire class. There's going to be little pieces that may fit your game really well, and unless you have private lessons or unless you ask your questions to your coach, you may not get those missing pieces that you really need. So don't be afraid to ask about it. Questions give us validation. Sometimes we are hesitant to pull off a move, do a sweep, go for a submission, even though we think it's the right thing to do, but because our decision or our thoughts haven't been validated by our coach or a higher belt, we're so hesitant to do those things. So if you think something may be the right decision or the right choice at a certain time in your role, but you're not doing it because no one's told you to do it before, you need to ask the question. You need to ask, hey, is this a good chance to go for this choke? Hey, would the omoplata be a good option from here? Don't be afraid to ask those questions. It's going to help add things to your game and take your game to the next level. Questions can be about anything. They can be about technique. They can be about positions. They can be about etiquette or just the philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu in general. I highly recommend that you ask questions in regards to gym etiquette. You don't want to be the person that's doing things that are outside of the etiquette. Maybe it's the hygiene, maybe it's just the general moral code within the gym. You want to know what those things are, so don't be afraid to ask. If you don't feel comfortable asking those kinds of questions to your coach, go to your members, go to your friends, go to some of the higher belts in the academy. They'll be more than happy to answer those sort of questions for you. Oftentimes, whatever question you have, I can almost always promise you someone else has that same exact question, but they're afraid to ask it. So when you raise your hand in class after coach says, any questions? And you ask that certain question, I promise you someone else was thinking about it, but their ego or their unwillingness to feel a little uncomfortable in front of everybody was keeping them from asking that question. So don't be afraid, raise your hand, go to your coach, ask the question, ask it in front of everybody. Because when you ask that question, everybody else gets that answer as well. And when everybody gets that answer, it's only going to help the entire gym improve. So if you think it's a good question, if you think it's a question that needs answered, go ahead, ask it. It's your coach's job to answer your questions. They're more than happy to do it. That's what they're there for. They're going to try to give you as much information as they can. They're going to try to steer you in the correct direction as best as they can. But it does come down individually to each person, and at times you need to go take some initiative on your own, go up to your coach and ask some certain questions that may pertain specifically to you, or they may pertain to the entire class. Bottom line is, asking questions will only help you in Jiu-Jitsu. It will help you feel more comfortable in the academy. It will help you continue to show up, and you won't have all those reservations. Am I doing this wrong? Am I doing that wrong? Should I not be walking around here? Or should I not be doing whatever it is in the academy that may be against your gym etiquette? If you ask the questions, you get the answers, then you know. Then you don't have those reservations. You don't have the uncomfortable feeling. Everything will be okay. Everything will be better by simply asking questions.